Good evening, groundlings. Welcome to Monday evening on Going to Ground with me, Andrew Rumsey. And first of all, apologies for a rather unilluminating Going to Ground yesterday from St Michael the Archangel in Mere. Glorious church, but my attempts to show you the beauty of the misericords in the choir, those curious wooden carvings underneath the seats that fold up, was somewhat confounded by a lack of light in the choir stalls, as you saw. So there was very little that I could show you, even though the message, I hope, was a sound one, that what lies beneath the surface is important and seen by God. And those wonderful carvings do express that rather well. If only you could see them. So maybe I'll call into the cathedral where there are lots of misericords and I might be able to get a bit of light on the scene. But a very quick post yesterday, but from a beautiful church where I was glad to be. And today is George Herbert Day in the Church of England, the commemoration of that great priest and poet, who's a Salisbury and Wiltshire poet, of course, from who was just for 3 years, barely 3 years, incumbent of St Andrew's, Bemerton, little church that I called in briefly to today. Might have posted from there, but I was rushing rather. And but if you're on the outskirts of Salisbury or in the area, do call in. The church is open during the day. And there's a lovely plaque outside the door in the church porch, which is one of his poems, of course, the church porch. Love bade me welcome, love bade me welcome, engraved in stone. Lovely. Not even 40 when he died, just shy of his 40th birthday, but with a legacy of poetry and prose that has been a gift to the centuries. And what a lesson that is, that often the seeds of our work aren't seen in our own lifetime. But he was, for those of you who don't know, priest and poet in the 17th century, the early 1600s, and has so much to offer, very devoted, perhaps unsurprisingly, to the life of the church, but with a lyrical ability to describe that devotion in a way that was winsome, that made you want to be like he was, a follower of Christ and one who was deeply committed to the life of the church. And in Lent, his words are well worth reading. And so do look up some of his poems. I thought I might just read one of his familiar poems to you this evening. They're not all easy to understand, as is true of much poetry, but they do have a modernity to them, I think. There's a plainness in the language which does reach across the centuries. And this lovely poem called Sins Round, which you might know, I'm going to read, which is about the sort of circular nature of our failings, that we just, once we've reached the end of one, another one starts again, and we kind of get into this cycle of our own failings, from which, of course, we believe there is release, and the release is in the repentance that he begins the poem with. So this is Sins Round by George Herbert. Sorry I am, my God, sorry I am, that my offences corset in a ring. My thoughts are working like a busy flame, until their cockatrice they hatch and bring, and when they once have perfected their draughts, my words take fire from my inflamed thoughts. My words take fire from my inflamed thoughts, which spit it forth like the Sicilian hill. They vent the wares and pass them with their faults, and by their breathing ventilate the ill. But words suffice not, where are lewd intentions. My hands do join to finish the inventions. My hands do join to finish the inventions, and so my sins ascend 3 stories high, as Babel grew before there were dissensions. Yet ill deeds loiter not, for they supply new thoughts of sinning. Wherefore to my shame, sorry I am. My God, sorry I am.